Recorded Books Inspirational presents an unabridged recording of Dearest, Dorothy, Slow Down, You're Wearing Us Out by Charlene and Baumbich, narrated by Cynthia Darlow. This book is copyrighted 2002 by Charlene and Baumbich. This recording is copyrighted 2003 by Recorded Books. The character of Dearest Dorothy was inspired by the energy of a woman who had all the gumption and faith of her fictional namesake. Author Charlene and Baumbich has quite a bit of that spunkiness herself, and with it has made all of her characters come to life. And now, Dearest Dorothy, slow down, you're wearing us out.
Chapter 1. Dorothy leaned against the doorframe, her keen, brown, 87-year-old eyes slowly casting back and forth across the horizon. From her favorite and sacred spot in the barn, all her senses, her very soul, drank in the June glory of the tiny rows of corn marching across a bountiful earth. She delighted in knowing these young green stalks would yield pure gold come October. Distant trees separated earth from sky, and varying twilight shades of amber lavishly swirled the firmament like a ball gown flared to its fullest billow. Dorothy turned and gazed into the barn, willing herself to memorize the whole and each detail of what spread around and before her. A familiar, safe, and cavernous space lined by sturdy wooden floor slats and beams, powerful and centuries old, honed and built by her father's sweat. In silence, she made a slow 360-degree turn and drank deeply of the familiar. It was then she knew God was whispering, "Remember well all you see, for these splendid images will sustain you in the days to come." Within a blink, a sharp pressure, a clenching claw seized her chest, and she slumped to the floor where she remained until she could draw a deep, trouble-free breath. Once the pain subsided, she slowly uprighted herself, brushed the dust off, and went about her day, her life, neither fretting a moment nor telling a soul. 4 of the 5-strong Social Concerns Committee were seated around the old wooden table in the hospitality area at United Methodist Church, awaiting Jessica Joy's arrival. It was 20 minutes past their 7 o'clock sharp the third Wednesday of each month starting time, as it was stated in the bylaws. When Partonville's acting mayor Gladys McKern dramatically raised her wrist and stared at her watch, Dorothy Jean Wetstra, one of the few in Partonville brave enough to spar with Ms. Mayor, jumped in before Gladys could utter a disgruntled word. My, how I remember those first few months of motherhood. Nothing, I mean nothing, could get my Jacob Henry to settle down when I was trying to get out the door. I was so tired I thought I'd plumb lose my sanity about once a day. Vincent and Carolyn Ann were much better babies, but oh, that Jacob Henry gave me a run for my mind. Maybelle, too, had spied Gladys's chastising wind-up. She brushed a wispy strand of silver-white hair back up toward her bun and chimed in. Well, Earl was just the opposite. That boy could hardly be roused to eat, even when it was well past feeding time. Homer and I would try to wake him by pulling the cozy flannel blankets away from his little body in hopes that Chill would do it. When that didn't work, and it usually didn't, we'd talk louder and louder. Why, we had to practically take to shouting, and you know my dear Homer wasn't one for raising his voice, so that took quite an uncomfortable effort. Finally, Earl would open his sleepy eyes, peeking at us one eyeball at a time. She giggled at her own silly expression and memory, and then out of habit covered her mouth with her hand. Quick as a toad hops, I'd start nursing him before he could fall back to sleep. When I think back, it seems like just yesterday I held that sweet, soft bundle in my arms. Maybelle closed her eyes and continued speaking. I can still feel my thumb bumping across the top of each of his tiny toes, his soft breath against my cheek as he drifted back to sleep propped on my shoulder. The women sat in stillness, each lost in her own moments of memory. Finally, Maybelle's eyes flew open and she broke the silence. "I can't believe Earl's already 45 years old." She paused, then added, "Nor can I believe I'm 86. "Well, he is, and you are, and you can also believe this," Gladys belted out. "My Caleb was a cranky, colicky little pistol, and I was glad to get away from him when I had the chance, and especially—"
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.